Why? Great. All right. Assuming we are actually live, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining another episode of the OpenJS Foundation's Cross-Project Council meeting. Today is the 19th of July, 2022. And we've got a full agenda today. Where do I have that open? Here we go. I will drop the notes in the chat here for folks. Everybody loves when we chip in for the minutes. And please add yourselves as present. And welcome, Toby. And let's see. So getting things started, let me look at the doc here. Do we have any announcements?
Well, the Node.js project was selected as a feature project for the Grace Hopper Open Source Day. So if you are one of the 30,000 people registered, you are welcome to sign up for that. It's a hackathon on day 0, that Friday. Lots of cool folks from the Node project are working on putting that together. And then we will have a presence, OpenJS and the LF, the following week at the in-person conference.
Cool. That's great. Let's see. I don't know if anybody wants to fill that in further for the announcement section there.
I'll drop it in.
Thank you.
Also tweeted, I think we tweeted about it yesterday, so
yeah,
feel free to give it some love.
Great.
Yay, Sarah, you're going. Yes, yes, yes. Love for you to help. Yes.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Any other announcements?
Marketing committee meeting was canceled this month. Kylie has a plan to sort of rebuild that and work on getting the right people for the right time that works for the right people around the table. But all of you are, of course, welcome to attend.
Great. Excellent. Anything from the board?
We have a board meeting on Friday. We can report out after that.
Okay.
We have open board elections right now. We have we have 2 open seats for silver, and we have our secondary board seat for the CPC open right now.
Yep,
so by, yep, go ahead.
I was going to add in terms of elections and things like that, at-large representative at the CPC is also open, but we'll get to that.
Oh, so it's 3, okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, yep, early August, we'll have some new, perhaps new faces.
Yep. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's nothing else. I will jump into the agenda here. First one up is the OpenJS World Retrospective. Waleed opened this 13 days ago. Says they'll share this with the program committee and add it to the CPC agenda for the next meeting. So I'm guessing, I'm going to quickly look at the calendar. Do we have program meetings on the calendar?
We decided to cancel those until September.
Okay.
And use the CPC meeting or maybe a working session for kind of a debrief.
Okay.
I know a lot of folks are on vacation this month.
Okay.
Still would love people's feedback. Let's see, go to the issue.
Yeah, and we do need to figure out what we're going to do next week in terms of the working session. So I guess this is one option.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Anything we want to talk about on this right now, or just save it all for a different session since we do have a full agenda?
Is as a starting point for that, I don't know, did the on the organization side, the organizers, like did Robin, did your team put together any sort of here's how we thought it went?
We have a report and it's just about done. We were just pulling all of the final numbers. We just put the final edits on that yesterday. So we'll have that to share broadly to anyone who wants to see. We'll publish that.
Okay.
So
Just thinking that might have been like, that might trigger some discussion as to,
yeah. Yeah. Attendance was, I think we were thinking we'd have 600 in person. It was closer to 500 and change all up. Our virtual attendance was great. I can't remember the number, but I think the people who registered versus the people attended, we had about over 90% retention from those who registered for virtual versus who attended, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We always, the program committee really puts together an amazing agenda with great speakers. So that certainly helps. And we do see, we take all of that content and use it over the next 6 months to continue to drive eyeballs. So definitely value there. But yeah.
Great. All right. Well, assuming, I guess we'll still decide later on in the meeting what we're doing next week, but assuming that report is ready, we'll have that to work off as well. It sounds good.
Cool.
Great. All right. Well, moving on the agenda, the next item is the patching script for code of conduct. I was just talking to Ben Hutton this morning about the related issue. It's also on the agenda here, the update contributor covenant code of conduct to V2.1, pull request 851. So he was looking at trying to move that forward. Anyway, looking at this issue, there's nothing more than what Toby said 2 weeks ago. I mean, not Toby, Jordan. So I'm thinking that the plan is to try and get the other issue landed, pull request landed, and then figure out how we get this patching script on top of the code of conduct. So I don't know if there's too much to discuss here.
Someone has to do the work.
Yeah,
as usual.
Yeah, but once we get the other pull request landed, I think hopefully someone will pick it up. Maybe me. We'll see. Great. There's nothing more. I will jump on to the next one, which is OpenJS World 2023 planning. There's some comments here. I don't know if anybody's fresh on the status of this one and want to update folks.
Yeah, we're one of our proposals was to co-locate with Open Source Summit in May in Vancouver. We met with the program, we met with the event team under Angela Brown at the Linux Foundation yesterday. They're pulling together some scenarios and budget items for us. Hopefully we'll have that at the board meeting kind of as a starting point, just from a budget perspective. But of course we need to do that sort of the postmortem as well. So looking at ways that we can have more content with a full day, either 1 or 2 tracks, and then a half day as well that overlaps with Open Source Summit, like those mini summits. And what else? And then figure out how, when, and where we do our collab summit as well. And I do want your feedback there. I mean, it seems like typically the collab summits happen after the conference. Would you all be open to having it the day before the conference if that were the case? So in Vancouver, for example, the collab summit could be a Monday. We could have 1 or 2 track full day on a Tuesday, and then like a half day on Wednesday when Open Source Summit starts.
I think part of the reason we did that was, or we've done that, how we have is because one, it allows people to kind of justify, which is like, I think would still fall under that, justify the expense, but it also allows people to more like not have to participate in the conference, if that makes sense too. So there's been a number of times where people have come because they couldn't justify going to the conference, but it's still there and they still get the benefit of the majority of people being there. I don't know if that would be as true with it being on a Monday, because you still have to travel an additional day like you would have to come a day earlier, basically.
So if the OpenJS World was Tuesday, half day Wednesday,
Mhm.
could the Collab Summit be Monday is the question.
I think we've also done 2 days, which is
2 days, correct.
Yeah, that's the other problem. Sorry, I thought you were saying Monday and then bleeding
No.
into Tuesday.
No, you're right. 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't personally think like we're planning one like a node one aligned with the Node Conf EU,
Mhm.
and we're doing that the 2 days before.
2
And
days
I haven't
before,
heard
okay.
anybody complain. So I think Tierney, you're mentioning that co-locating is good, so people can travel once. But I think once you do that, whether it's before or after, at least personally, I don't think matters. It might matter whether it like runs into weekends or whatever,
Yeah.
but that's going to be the same on either
Yeah,
end,
totally.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I
I think the point I was saying there is like either if it's Monday, Tuesday, that bleeds into conference, that gets challenging. And then if you push it to Sunday, Monday, then people have to come out Saturday, and then that consumes the whole weekend, where typically we've only consumed half the weekend.
Got it. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
So if the OpenJS World was Tuesday, Wednesday, Collab Summit was Thursday, Friday, you would just miss the all of the benefits of all of the other open source summit breakout sessions if those were of interest.
I think the other challenge there is historically we've done it with a JavaScript conference, and so there'd probably be slightly less justification for a lot of people to do it with open source summit, because historically people have cared more about the JavaScript side, in my experience at least, than like I've talked to a lot of people about LF open source stuff, and less of an interest in that than JavaScript.
That's where, like, for me, it matters how big a content we have, right? Like if it's a half day versus if it's, I think, Robin was just talking about a day and a half, right? So that's almost the same amount we had at the main at the conference. So if it's almost the same amount of content, I don't think that's as a big a deal, right?
My apologies. I forgot you're talking about also OpenJS World overlapping with open source summit. My apologies. Ignore that last comment.
No, I was actually, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. If it's OpenJS World with it, that makes way more sense. Oh yeah, I was thinking you were just talking about open
No, we'll have our own thing for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's for me personally, it'd be nice to be able to go to some of the open source summit things. So, but yeah, you got a bunch of different things to balance, and I guess it's like, I don't know how we get people's input. I would go for hey, do it a couple days before so that you could go to both, right? But other people might make a different decision, right? I don't know how we optimize for maximum people, which is probably what we want to.
I mean, if we're talking about a day and a half, maybe the day is the day before and the half is the overlap, and then we can sort of mix and match a bit.
Yeah, because a lot of folks had to leave half day on the second day in Austin because they were catching flights back. So that second day was less attended. We could actually just even survey the 50 kind of core people who were there most of the time on the Collab Summit and see what they'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. Anyway, where were we? Where are my notes? Okay, so moving on then. We're jumping into the kind of election related stuff. The first one is issue 906, the at-large voting member election. This is open. Nominations should end of day today. I don't know if what sort of response we're getting, or if we even need to discuss that until close. But yeah, we're still open. Should I move on? I'm not sure what to talk about on this one. If anybody has anything, step up. Similarly, the CPC impact voting member selection, as opposed to election, is happening.
That one's a little unique. I think Tierney pointed that out. I think it said, it's ratified, I think, by the CPC. I believe that's just the impact projects nominate their 2 reps, and then I believe I'll have to go back, that the CPC then thumbs up those nominations, those recommendations. So it's been
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Tierney, did you have any concerns or questions?
No, I'm mostly that one was just like, oh, this is upcoming and I need to take care of this. And so I've had to pester a lot of people over the past couple of weeks to like try to get it done in Electron. We're making progress. We're making good progress,
Cool.
but yeah, I think somehow being able to ping people for that, like is like if I wasn't going through this repo, I would not have seen that. So figuring out a way to like ping stakeholders and say, hey, please do this. Because I also don't remember doing this last year. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think Shelly and I might have just carried over and
Yeah,
not done this. So
I can ping people. That's fine. I flagged it for Jess yesterday on our call. I'll go ahead and flag it for the other impact projects.
okay, cool. Yeah. I'm not particularly concerned, but just in the future, like it'd be I think this time it should be fine. But yeah, just in the future, having like, you know, a list of people to ping from impact projects. So like, hey, please do this. And having like, I think a monthly time was good for us because it allowed me to get gears turning to slow down to some engineers and get them focused on this for a sec. So yeah,
Cool.
otherwise no issues though.
Alrighty.
Yeah, and I found it does just say ratified.
Mhm.
Whatever that means, I guess. I'm dropping the link directly to that section in the issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, on the Node side, Rich and I are working through this process for Node.js. But I have no awareness of what anyone else is doing. All right, anything else on this one?
I was just gonna say, I was hoping on the Node front, we'll close on that tomorrow. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michael. The next item on the agenda is the secondary CPC director seat. Similar to the other election, this is open and closing end of day today. Nominations are made via email to the operations email. Does it say that here? Yes, a lower down comment. I probably should have put that up in the description. So that is happening. I don't know if anybody has any comments on this or if we just keep moving along.
I had a quick question for that one. I was wondering if there was directors and officer legal insurance for this role.
Yes,
There is?
there is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I think it's just covered under the policy that there is for all directors.
Great. Good question, Toby. Moving on, the next item is the public slides from the June board meeting. We touched on this a while ago.
I haven't seen those, and I've asked for a link to them, and I don't think Sarah saw my comment, so because she's on the call right now, it would be great to have. I mean, if they're shareable via the issue, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think when we talked about, sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
What I was going to say is I think it was a miss this time. I think, and maybe because I think the putting it together worked, but then I wasn't able to make the next CPC call. So I wonder if we could just declare this one a miss and do it this time. And then I think because I think the question was, I saw your comment and sorry for not following up. I think the question was, is it shareable? Because there were some things I think we included that may have been sensitive, but we wanted to include them because we wanted the CPC to be aware of them. So yeah, maybe we.
Yeah, I think my remembrance was like the board was all comfortable sharing with the CPC members, but that doesn't, to include as much as we could in there, we don't necessarily want to make that 100% public that you would just post as a link on the issue. So maybe Sarah, your suggestion is like we reconfirm that in the board meeting this time, and then we'll know exactly what to do going forward, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then I perhaps we review it in a private session or something. Is that the thinking? Not like a fully public session. That
Yeah,
seems,
to be clear, like, I think I missed that call too, so I didn't know whether they had been shared in the call or not. And
Yeah.
so it was like, oh, is there a link somewhere? And then I was like, oh, actually, maybe if there's not a link, then it's because it's actually not shareable for reasons that are absolutely valid. And so me asking whether it was shareable was not suggesting that they absolutely should have been, because I understand that maybe they couldn't for good reasons. And so just for context, I was just wondering if I could get a link to them or not. And if that's totally fine, next time is perfect, works for me. So I think we should close this.
I agree.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks. We'll try again.
Okay. All right, great. All righty. I'll just close this since I have it open. This one is a miss. We'll do July in a private session with CPC members. Boom. Done and done. Grace Hopper is the next issue. This is issue 898. Robin, you want to chime in here? I'm not sure if there's
Yeah,
much to
I
talk
think
about.
I put it for the announcement. I think what we should do perhaps is just maybe link to the tweet. Cahil's setting up a meeting series with kind of the core team on that. So we seem to be moving ahead.
Yeah, and I just got a timeline from Grace Hopper on some stuff earlier today as well. So I'm going to forward that along to the core team on this one too.
Cool. Yeah. We've got a doodle poll going on timing for meeting, but yeah, it's good.
Okay,
And then I guess, yeah, we'll take that off the agenda, but I'll put the final notice and then so folks can attend.
Great.
Cool.
Okay. Great. Where am I here? So the next item on the agenda is IP policy license exception request. This is something that is in progress. As I understand it, the OpenJS Foundation is working on the legal aspects and the language that we'll need to have contributors approve in terms of changing the license from artistic to something approved. And Diana and I, Diana from the Loopback Project and I are working on gathering the contributor list, the list of contributors, and working through like who's IBMers, who were IBMers, and who are not IBMers, and which repos they contributed to, and we can kind of work through it all together.
Okay, this could likely take several months, I think, to contact everybody and relicense. Again, we may want to take the agenda tag off for now. So just keep
Should
that
we even
in.
close it?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
Like there was a question, a decision was made, and now like the project has work to do.
Mhm.
And I mean, as part of the onboarding process, there's like a tick box for licensing being compliant. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, which I think the Loopback is officially onboarded, so it's not like it's going to be caught in that process per se.
Okay, fair enough.
So, I don't mind checking in on this every other week, but at a certain point we might pull it off the agenda. I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I'd take it off the agenda, but maybe leave the issue open if you need that to be for track used as the one to use this tracking. But
Yeah.
All right, I'll do that. Taking the agenda label off right now.
Cool.
Sounds good to me. Great. Next on the agenda is the update COC to version 2.1. This is pull request 851. As I mentioned, I was talking to Ben about this morning. Let me see if he commented 8 hours ago. He asked the question, which I think we then answered via Slack. So I can maybe double back with him and see about trying to get this landed as matching the contributor covenant. And then we can do any patching on top of that. If that sounds good to folks, which I think is what we've agreed on many times, I will mention, I'll ping him right now.
Oh, I need to remove my block on this. Let me do that right now.
Okay, great. Cool. All right, so we'll move forward on this. Where am I? All right, so moving on, unless anybody has anything else. This next issue is the JavaScript security space. My apologies, last week was insane. But essentially my plan is to get this rolling, this week and the coming days. The plan is to, I have this, initial next steps to create a repo, but I didn't want to do that until I had things for the repo. The recurring meeting time, the suggestion was for starters to just do it opposite the standards meeting, which is 1 p.m. every other week, Eastern time. Does somebody have a comment? Sorry. Nope. And then, update the security Slack channel and start to kind of flesh out what our first steps are and our goals and things like that. So I apologize, it's been a little crazy lately, but I'm going to get this ball rolling in the next week or two.
We blogged on our progress report for Project Alpha Omega on the Node project, and we'll do that monthly. And part of that too is looking to the team, driving that to see what best practices can be driven through the JavaScript community at large. So that'll loop into the security working group as well. But yeah, lots of progress, those folks. They did hit the ground running.
It's great, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Great, and I hope we can, pull from that effort and take some of the learnings and such.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So the last, we're down to the last three here, the license check support and tooling. I'm going to open this issue, but I assume there's nothing new here. I imagine still kind of LF. Ramping that up.
Yep. No update. No update.
Okay. Clarify requirements around COC violation. This is still something we need to work on.
Yeah, me. Apologies, and I will get around to it at some point, but probably like soonish, actually.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Toby. In advance. And then the last one is building stronger ties between at-large maintainers and their CPC rep.
Yeah, just a quick note on this. I actually talked with Ben earlier today about an issue around things like Open Collective. Regardless, he was suggesting that he's incubating right now. I mean, his project is, the project that he's a maintainer of is in incubation right now. And he felt like he couldn't really use the at-large maintainers Slack channel to ask questions. And overall, it just felt like it would be a good idea to make the CPC rep for at-large projects also the CPC rep for onboarding projects, so incubating projects, because it feels like a good time to actually collect like information on what's happened. This is really when people bump into roadblocks, right? And they don't have a rep otherwise. They do have a champion, but it's not always clear. I mean, I'm not sure how well the championing role has worked for this case. And I also do think that the at-large rep's role is hard to make happen. So I think it would be a good way to sort of like channel people into that, the habit of actually relying on that person. Anyway, that was my thoughts.
Yeah, and I see Jordan here's comments. He's not here, so I'll speak for them. I would assume incubating X projects are treated as X projects, whether X is at large or otherwise.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense, but I think in general, what you're saying, Toby, also makes sense. So
yeah, I like to think of incubating as already sort of part of the family, and that process is more just an administrative thing. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time depending on where those things have to take place, whether it's a big company, for example, or not, or whether it's a smaller project and they just don't have a lot of time. So, yeah, but we could probably do more to make sure that they sort of do feel like they are part of the family, I think, which is Jordan's point, right, on his comment. So.
Actually, my browser has locked, so I actually cannot read Jordan's comment. But
I would assume, yeah, I would assume incubating X projects are treated as X projects, whether X is at large or otherwise. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if there's interest in, if there's interest in seeing this that way, I can actually look at what language that would imply changing and wherever that is,
Mm-hmm.
and make a pull request for that.
I would say too, just informally, that role, at-large rep, if they wanted to be, more helpful and help all incubating projects, great.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be formalized per se.
Well, it does. If folks that are onboarding don't feel like they have a right to talk to that person or be on that side channel, then you do want to make it sort of more official.
Yeah, I would hope that anyone incubating would not feel uncomfortable talking to anyone in the organization.
I agree. I'm just like, my point is literally, I chatted with Ben today on the not on that channel, and he said it would be nice if I could join that channel. If it would be like, I can't remember what the language was, but regardless, like there was really, and like he's been really in the issues all the time, right? Like he's been hammering this thing. So if he feels uncomfortable about this, like others too.
Yeah. I also think that, like, regardless of whether or not people should feel comfortable, that doesn't mean that they necessarily will. And so setting up structures where they we're not putting that assumption on them is helpful to make sure that they actually are comfortable.
Yeah. And maybe it needs to be made clear in the onboard, these resources are all still available to you, et cetera.
We can add that to the checklist, right? So easy. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Cool. Let's do it then.
Let's do it.
Great. With that, we are done with the agenda. We do need to choose what we're going to do for the working session next week. And I am checking the dates and reminders here, which I think is all the election stuff that we already have going on. 2023, which can include Collab Summit and conversations. Great. All right. That's all we have on the agenda. Is there anything else that we want to talk about, either publicly or privately? Nope, nothing here either. I guess we can say, those election nominations are end of day today. So, I'm guessing tomorrow we will send out an email and maybe a Slack message, and this is the last day to do it, or nominate or whatever. So,
I think getting people to vote is more important.
Yeah, we generally track that, and if it's a little slow, we, poke and prod a little bit. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we're considering a full 2 weeks, then I think we would announce the day after.
Yeah.
My suggestion. All right, great. So look for that tomorrow. And otherwise, I think we got everything covered, and I appreciate it.